Hi guys, so today I am participating in Earth Day over at Case. So you guys have a sub today for class to go over your Unit 8 test, which is actually pretty good. And then you're going to have, if you have lab today, then you have a substitute for the first day of your Beaks of Finches New York State lab. Unless I change my mind on when we're going to start that. I might change my mind. But anyway, I hope you guys all had a really good vacation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over part B. And everyone at this point should have their test in front of them. If you have not taken the test, then you shouldn't be here. You should be working on it in the hall or in the library, depending on how many people have to do it. And if you don't finish this period, then it's your responsibility to meet up with me to do that. Okay, to schedule a time. Don't come to me and say, when can I take it? Come to me and say, can I take it this period? Can I take it tomorrow this time? Can I take it after school on Wednesday? That's what works. Okay. Let's see. So I'm just going to pull it up in front of me because I don't have a printed copy here. I meant to bring one home, but I didn't. So go ahead and turn to part B of your Unit 8 test. I'll give you a couple seconds. All right. So number 1 says, base your answer to the question on the diagram below, which shows the evolution of Hawaiian honey creepers from a common ancestor. As their ancestors spread to new islands, they found a variety of different food sources. Gradually, behaviors and beak structures evolved that took advantage of these different food sources, resulting in the formation of several new species. So you have a picture here, and it's a bunch of honey creepers, and it just down below it tells you a bunch of stuff about what they eat and the fact that they all came from a common ancestor. And you can see different things, like you can see how their beaks are, some of them are long and skinny and some of them are short and stubby. And they're all that way because of what they need to do to survive, what food they need to access to survive. And then your question says, other types of birds arrived at the island, but they found it difficult to compete with the many forms of honey creepers. Explain why the honey creepers were able to compete so successfully against the new arrivals. So, the reason why they were able to compete so successfully, I accepted a variety of answers, but basically you should have said something about the fact that they were really well adapted to where they were. So if you said anything about evolutionary advantage, or the honey creepers had many different types of beaks, or they were used to their environment, anything like that, and you got points for that. That's all good. Okay? A lot of good answers for that one. Number 2, base your answer to the question on the information below in your knowledge of biology. You'll see that like 50 million times on the Regents. 10 years ago, scientists discovered a well-preserved set of dinosaur remains in China. This dinosaur, which walked on Earth about 125 million years ago, had feathers and was about the same size as a turkey. But don't be fooled. This dino's bite was a lot worse than the turkey's gobble. After a close and careful examination of the dino's teeth, scientists recently concluded that the dinosaur was probably poisonous. The study was led by David Burnham, who works and teaches at the University of Kansas in Lawrence. So, the question is, state one inference that could be made based on the fact that this dinosaur had feathers. So, an inference is based on an observation. So, in this case, your observation could just be like you see that it has feathers. Okay. Now, some of you guys took this in a different direction and gave me some crazy answers. I'll never forget the year that this was on the Regents. I was grading it, and the student wasn't mine. And she put for her answer and did not get credit for it. Remember the question is one inference based on the fact that the dinosaur had feathers. And she put that the dinosaur died on a turkey. Yeah. So just think about how things make sense. Like, does that make sense? No. Because they're telling you it's a fact that it had feathers. Okay? So your answer shouldn't be telling me about, why someone might think it had feathers. I got a lot of good answers for this one. The most basic one inference, maybe it could fly. And a lot of you guys made inferences based on evolution. You said it could have been, a common ancestor for birds we have today. What some of you put that you shouldn't have put is that birds are the ancestors of dinosaurs. Yeah, shouldn't say that. You should say that dinosaurs are could be the ancestors of birds, modern birds. All right. Okay. 3, state one reason why some species might have similar body structures, even if they are not closely related. So, for this one, if you put common ancestor, it's wrong. And it's not that they wouldn't have a common ancestor, because everything that's alive has, a common ancestor somewhere, right? But that's not a reason why the species might have similar body structures in this case, because they're saying that they're not closely related. So that means that they've had time to adapt to their environment. Hint, hint. I got a lot of good answers for this, probably because we talked about it before and you were listening. Good job. You said they adapted to their niche. They adapted to their environment. They lived in similar places. They had to get food the same way. Great answers. Good job. All right. So second page. 4. The number of amino acid differences in the protein cytochrome C between chimpanzees and some other animals is shown in the table below. So a lot of you guys had trouble actually understanding what this table was. So basically what they're doing is they're comparing amino acid differences. Okay. So remember, your DNA codes for amino acids, which, come together and form a protein. So if you have amino acid differences, then you have DNA differences. So you're looking at differences between the chimpanzee and then the dog and the dogfish shark and the rattlesnake and the rhesus monkey. So what you should have done, you could have said a number of different things. Well, the question, explain how the data in the table can be used to determine possible evolutionary relationships. So you could have said that the animal with the least number of amino acid differences is the most related. That's probably the best answer for that one. The answers for this were kind of all over the place. I got a few that sounded like that. I got a few that compared the chimp to human. Humans not on there. They're not talking about humans. So make sure that you really take time to really understand your table and your chart. Okay. So let me know if you have any more questions about that. I wish I could ask you and that I could hear your questions, but I can't. So make sure you ask me later if you still don't understand that, or ask someone else who understood it. All right. Number 5, base your answers to the question of the diagram below that shows variations in the beaks of finches on the Galapagos Islands and on your knowledge of biology. So there's the famous finch wheel there. And we have all of the same finches and all of the same details about their bills. Refer to figure 2 and answer the following question. The number of small tree finches is increasing on the island inhabited by a large population of small ground finches. So let's look at the wheel really quickly. well, you have the wheel in front of you. The small tree finches are, there we go, on the right side. And then we have the small ground finches on the left side. They're about the same size. They look similar. So it says, state one reason why the population of small ground finches has not been affected by the increasing number of small tree finches. They eat different things. They don't compete. They take food from different places. So the trees in the ground. Also, it's different food. But those are all examples of really good answers that I got for that one. So people did well in that one. Good job. All right. Page 6. Base your answer to the question on the information below and your knowledge of biology. Pocket mice. So pocket mice are small rodents that feed mainly at night and are preyed upon by owls, hawks, and snakes. Scientists studied pocket mice living on dark volcanic rock in both New Mexico and 50 miles away in Arizona. They recorded their data in the chart below. Okay, so you have a chart right there. It says number of mice on dark volcanic rock. In New Mexico, light fur. So light fur seems to be doing pretty well. It was like a small increase and a small decrease. And then we see dark fur in New Mexico. Started out 122. Little increase and a little decrease, about the same. Then we have Arizona. Light fur is 16, so it's pretty low and stays pretty low. And then dark fur is 125, goes up a little bit and goes back down. Okay, so basically the point of that picture was just to kind of remind you about what natural selection is, and kind of get you thinking about that. The question, you don't actually have to talk about the mice in the question at all. You can use them as an example, but you don't have to. So it says, explain what is meant by the statement, while mutations are random, natural selection is not. And then for some of you, I put on the board, I just edited the statement a little bit. I said, while the effects of mutations are random, the effects of natural selection are not. You guys had a difficult time in general putting your thoughts into like words and sentences that made sense for this one. I think a few of you, if you go back and read your answers, you're going to say, wow, that didn't really make a lot of sense. And that's okay, because you're practicing right now. And some scientific concepts are hard to explain. But the answer for this one, I mean, there are many different answers. But basically, what they were looking for, you had to talk about both, first of all. You couldn't just talk about natural selection or just talk about mutations. Now, when it says, so you explain both sides. Explaining the first side, well, mutations are random. You could say mutations can be either harmful, beneficial, or neutral. Straight from your notes, perfectly explains why mutations are random. Second half, natural selection is not. So natural selection is not random. This is the part that you guys had trouble wording. So basically, you could have said anything about, during natural selection, one trait is favored, or after natural selection, one trait sticks out more. A lot of you guys talked about predator-prey relationships, which was good. But again, I saw a lot of that, like, it was difficult to put your thoughts to words. So you just got to practice it. That's all. It wasn't terrible. Maybe a few. But just practice it, and then you'll get a lot better at it. Okay, so that's basically what you had to do from there. If you got that question correct, then you either did a really good job or you met the minimum. So, all right, number 7. Identify one adaptation other than beak size and shape a finch might possess and state how it would aid in its survival. So, that means you can't talk about the beak, which a lot of you did. A lot of you also talked about fur. Why are you talking about fur? We're talking about finches. But that's okay. I actually gave you credit if you talked about fur because it wasn't beaks. I know. But don't talk about fur on the Regents if they're asking you about a finch. Okay, it's just any adaptation a finch can have, other than the beak. Okay, it's a common question, so make sure that you're. Oh, good answers for this one. Talons. Talked about the talons or the claws being long. Some people talked about behavioral adaptations, which are really good, like hunting for food at a certain time of day, or um, being really competitive, being fast, speed. You guys talked about the color of the feathers. That could be an adaptation. Somebody said that. They said if the feathers were, this color, then they would blend in with this background. That's good. Okay. Let me know if you have questions about that one. Moving on. All right, number 8 says, so there's this paragraph right here. We have to read about the lynx. So it said, lynx are found in areas where there is deep, soft snow cover during the winter months. The body design of the Canada lynx helps the animal keep on top of the snow. Several unique characteristics, such as the design of its feet and its weight, enable the cat to successfully chase and catch snowshoe hares, its primary source of food. Snowshoe hares are also able to remain on top of the snow. Increased winter recreation has created packed trails in the lynx habitat. This allows coyotes and cougars to compete with the lynx. And your question is, explain why coyotes were not in competition with the lynx prior to the presence of packed snow trails. So all you had to say here was that the coyotes couldn't get to the area where the lynx were before because they can't walk on top of the soft snow. They don't have the adaptations that the lynx has. And a lot of you guys talked about the specific adaptations that the lynx has and why it can walk on top of the snow. And that's really good. And then you said, the coyotes don't have those adaptations, so they can't walk on top of the soft snow. You could also say one of the more simpler answers, still correct. Their habitats didn't overlap because they didn't until the coyotes could actually enter, through the packed snow trails. So there's that too. All right, number 9, evolution of the elephant. So today's elephants are a result of a long process of evolution. Over millions of years, small changes were passed from one generation to the next. The first fossil elephant species were small, but over time they increased in both size and weight. The 3 species alive today are the sole survivors of a once much more widespread group. Explain why it took so long for elephants to evolve this way while insects and bacteria can undergo evolution much more rapidly. You either got this like right on the nose or you did not. You could have said elephants are more complex. What I was really looking for was elephants have a longer reproductive cycle, or you could say bacteria and insects have a short reproductive cycle. Any of that works, or lifespan. So insects, bacteria, short lifespan, elephants, long lifespan. It's good. It's all good. All right, 10 shows you a picture of a flower with stem, leaves, and roots. And then it says, explain how the plant might adapt more easily to reach the water shown in the diagram. So it shows you that the water is farther down than the roots grow. All you had to say was that it could grow its roots longer. Most people did really well. A couple of people way overthought it. But yeah, that's all it was asking, just for you to say that the roots could grow longer. All right, number 11. Base your answer to the question, the information below, knowledge of biology. To attend public school in New York, children need to be vaccinated against various diseases. The list below shows some required vaccinations. Okay, polio, tetanus, and so on. The flu is a disease caused by a virus that can undergo frequent genetic changes. A different flu vaccine is needed each year. Explain why a single vaccination is not effective against all flu viruses. So basically, they're asking, why can't we just get one vaccination for the flu like we have for all of those other diseases? I got really good answers for this one. You guys a lot of you referred to the other diseases, like bacterial diseases we talked about and becoming resistant to antibiotics. Some of you guys confused a few things, but it wasn't too bad. It was bad if you said that the virus became resistant to antibiotics. That's not good. If you said the virus became resistant to vaccines, okay, that works. It's good because that's what it's doing. The virus evolved is also a really good answer. The virus had mutations that changed its DNA. Really good. The DNA of the virus changed. Good. Or genetic material, depending on, if it had DNA or RNA. So those were all pretty good. Got a couple of weird answers for that one. You know who you are. All right, 12. So we have all this information about the grasshopper mouse again. In the desert, the United States, the mouse is active at night searching for crickets. And that's, I know you guys read this before. So, and then it told you all about how it can ignore the venom of the scorpion. Your question for the last unit was, how could the fact that the grasshopper mouse doesn't feel pain help humans who have chronic pain issues? Your question for this test, same picture, same text, says identify one advantage to grasshopper mice of being active during the night rather than daylight. So pretty simple there. You could have just said that it could sneak up on its prey easily. It would avoid predators. It could hunt in a cooler time of the day. It can see better at night. Maybe. Lots of things, less competition at night, lots of things like that. I only had like 2 or 3 of you not read the question and think that it was the question from the last test and tell me something about, humans using the gene for pain resistance. Make sure you read the question. All right, last one? Yep, last one. 13. Base your answer to the question on the information building your knowledge of biology. Evolution leads to changes. That's your figure 8. Okay. Evolution leads to changes in how frequently certain traits appear in a population. Describe how the process of natural selection can result in an increase in frequencies of certain traits found in a population. So, the answer to this question should not have been one sentence. I mean, maybe you made it one sentence and made it work, but for the most part, this was not a one sentence question. So you should have said something about, this is a great time to kind of describe natural selection. Just describe a scenario, like the easiest one. Pick the easiest one, the hawk and the different colored mice in the field. A lot of you did that, and it worked super well. So keep in mind, they're talking about an increase in frequencies of certain traits. So what they're saying is that in a population, if natural selection occurs, then certain traits are going to increase in frequency, which means that other traits are going to decrease in frequency. So in the population of the mice, in the case with the scenario, you had the dark colored mice that blended in with the background, and then you had the light colored mice that stuck out. And so the hawk came and picked off the mice that were light colored, leaving the ones who were dark colored behind to reproduce. Emphasis on that last part. It left the ones with the beneficial traits behind, and they were able to reproduce. Natural selection, the main point is, the successful ones have to be able to reproduce. If they can't reproduce, it's not going to happen. They'll become extinct. Okay. I hope you guys were listening to all of that. That's all I want to say in this video. I'll write everything else down for this sub. And I hope you're being good today, and I will see you tomorrow. How do I get back to the video? Oh, there it is.